Buddhism has what's called the middle road. Christianity has what's called the narrow path. What happened to me and Brooke was we got pulled into this, right-wing, conservative, Pharisaical Christianity. I think that's the word. And the belief system in that is to call everything that isn't Christianity demonic, right? So you literally point the finger at everything. Astrology is demonic. Yoga is demonic. This song is demonic. This movie is demonic. This band is demonic. This whatever, right? You're pointing the finger at everything and you're calling it out and saying it's demonic. Homosexuality is demonic, right? You're sinning. You shouldn't be doing that. You need to cleanse yourself of your sin and be with a man. So that's what we were pressured into. That's the first type of Christianity, believe it or not, that I fell into out of coming from extreme left liberalism. I was trying to find a balance. And I think that God was like, hey, yo, Chiquita, you have gone way too far over here. We need to come back to the middle path, the narrow path, whatever you want to call it, right? Like each religion has this spot that you're supposed to be able to find with God where you're walking it out and you're actually exemplifying what it means to be peaceful and loving and non-judgmental and all of those beautiful things that Jesus was, right? So that's the goal, is to be more like him. Well, how do we get there? I mean, I was all the way over here and then I was pulled and manipulated to all the way over here, and I thought this was the answer. I thought I needed to get out of my same-sex marriage. I thought that I was in a same-sex marriage because of a trauma wounding with men. And I was just fed this whole rhetoric and story, and I bought it hook, line, and sinker, and, almost lost my same-sex marriage. I am so grateful, Lord, that you woke my ass up and you were able to show me that love trumps Pharisees, that love trumps everything. It is the most important thing. If you are with someone that loves you and you love them, I don't care what parts you have. And, I used to get really, not offended, but just like, everybody assumes I'm gay. Why do they assume I'm gay just because I'm with a woman? I'm sexual, is what I used to say. I'm not homo, I'm not bi, I'm not any of those things. I'm sexual, and also, I don't care what parts she has, right? Like, she could have a penis, I would love her. She doesn't. But if she did, I would, because she's Brooke. And I think that's the thing that I lost sight of, and that's the thing that I was brainwashed into believing wasn't good enough. I felt like I could not share the fact that I smoked weed. We all had to hide it from the leader. And maybe that was just my psyche, but I felt like I would be looked down upon or shunned or excluded if she knew the extent of our addiction problems, right? So I felt very pressured to be clean and white and pristine and follow all of the rules. Danger zone, red flag. If you're in a church like that, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That is the kind of Christianity that turned me away from Christianity. And it's so interesting that I did not see it. I thought, well, it's not that bad, right? I was just like, no one's shoving it down my throat. And that's the sneaky thing, is that this can be a passive-aggressive message. It doesn't have to be, you should get out of your marriage, you're sinning. This is not good, right? Like, it can be subtle, passive-aggressive undertones and comments made here and there about not being healed for one reason or another. And in my case, it was because, well, you're smoking weed, and, well, you're in a same-sex marriage, and, well, you're just sinning and you don't know it. You'll come out of it eventually. We'll be here for you, however long it takes, right? And then, like I said in the past, when I started to push back, and I did this, I tested the waters. I was like, how are you going to treat me when I come to you and say, I'm not going to leave her. I'm not leaving her. I'm staying with my wife. How are you going to treat me now? And it was slowly a coolness, a push out. You're over there and we're over here. We are superior to you because we're not sinning like you are. We have husbands, and that's what you need, and that's what you should be doing, because that's what the Bible says. So, and I'm not poo-pooing the Bible, but I will stand on the hill that says it has been twisted and manipulated to make religion a God and override the real God and the love of the real God and the love of Jesus. It has absolutely been twisted. And at first, I didn't think that. I was like, no, the Bible is what it is, and I am sinning, and I need to stop, and if I don't, God's going to be mad at me, and I'm not going to be accepted into this cult, and they're not going to love me anymore, and I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose everything I love, and I'm going to lose booty. I had this whole rhetoric playing in my brain, and thank God, God woke up the part of me that was like, this is BS. These are actual Pharisees pointing the finger at me and telling me to be a certain way. And I heard someone say, I think it was Taylor Welsh the other day, who said, as soon as you point the finger at someone and judge them, you're the Pharisee. Even if you're pointing a finger at someone saying they're a Pharisee, you're a Pharisee. So call me whatever you want right now, but I do have to say there is a right conservative section of Christianity that is absolutely effed up and should not be doing what it's doing. And it is married to religion. It is married to the Bible. And again, I'm not saying the Bible's bad. I'm not saying I don't read it and get messages from God. I do. I sit down with it almost every day and at least try and dedicate 5 to 10 minutes, if not more, because that keeps me connected to God. But I know that there are parts of it that have been twisted. I know that in my heart. I don't know how I know it, but I do. And I'm not using that as an excuse to stay where I am. I'm actually really happy because we love each other and because we know how to treat each other. And I see so many relationships where the trust is broken. It's gone. And I think it's a miracle that we were able to dodge that bullet, that we were able to tie our wedding rings together, throw them into Lake Pend Oreille, hand the marriage over to God and say, you do what you want, sir. We leave this to you, because we're so broken and confused and torn up by everything happening around us in this baptism and prophecy that I went through, right? So it took me like 9 months to just wake the fuck up and say, what are you doing? Give your marriage to God, pray, and see what happens. And then we started to just trust each other and get along and rekindle, and all of the toxic behavior that was a result of the pressure and the questioning and the guilt and the shame and the lies that I was trying to keep from her, we recovered from all of that. That is amazing to me. Like, this woman has my back no matter what. And I know that. She absolutely will do anything to protect me and loves me. Her heart is so gigantic and she loves me so much. And I return that. I trust her. She trusts me. Do you know how rare that is in a relationship these days? And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I have observed so many relationships that aren't like that. They don't have the basic trust of, you're a decent human being and you don't want to hurt me, and I know that. So we are working on a foundation, a solid foundation of trust and love and respect. And I think that really is a rarity these days. Like, I can't tell you how many of my friends and family, they don't trust their significant other. They don't trust their boyfriend or girlfriend at all. And they're trying to learn how to do that. And they've been so wounded that it's a huge challenge. And I absolutely sympathize with that. And my best advice for anyone in that situation is to do exactly what Brooke and I did, is to say a prayer, give it to God, and ask for his restoration and reformation in your relationship. There's something about not trying to do things yourself. There's something about handing over the reins and handing over the control that allows for movement one way or the other. It could have gone the other way, I'm sure. He could have been like, nope, you're done, right? You need to go to a new season. And it's not even about being in a same-sex marriage. It's just about the relationship's done, new chapter. It's not what happened. Healing happened. Restoration happened. For a long time, every time we would make love, I would feel guilt and shame. I would question, right? That seed was planted, that dangerous seed was planted in my brain. Am I sinning? Is this okay? Is this perversion? And I had to pull the weed out because it grew into a big, gigantic weed in our marriage garden. And I had to go in and just start pulling that stuff out with God and the Holy Spirit. And I think that's what this whole process of healing has been. I think it's been September, it'll be a year that we've been out of the cults that we were in. So I love you. All this to say, right, left, even politically, no. Middle, right? The middle is where you can see both sides and you can have the perspective of both sides, but you can hold a place of balance for them to come back to. And I think that's the most important thing. Is there's a part of me that wants to shut people out that feel any certain way, right? Like, oh, you're far left liberal, you're so obnoxious and in people's faces with your beliefs, and get away. Oh, you're so far right with your gun rights and your money and your rich people, and F off. And I think the job is to really be able to hold that middle ground. So when these people do wake up, like many, many do, they have a place to go. They have an example of someone who is walking and holding the balance, right? Being able to see both sides and love both sides where they are. Not judge them, love them where they are, and not shut them out. Now, there is one thing that I'll say on that. Like, I love and I don't judge, but if you are dishonest with me, and I I can tell when people are being dishonest with me at this point. I have such discernment. I can tell when they're lying. I can tell when they're not saying everything that's on their mind. I can tell when I'm being placated or put off. That's something I can't tolerate. Like, that's just, it's too much of a betrayal at this point after what I've been through. I just want honesty. Like, even if it hurts, just be honest with me, right? Like, please, for the love of God, just tell me the truth. Because that's another rarity in this day and age, is people don't know how to tell the truth. They don't know how to tell the truth. They're constantly bobbing and weaving and not saying the thing that's so hard to say. And I know this. I did it too. I'm not saying I'm guilt-free, sin-free, and just, you know, in regards to being honest. It is hard to just look at someone and say what you need to say. You know, I was on an interview a few weeks ago, and this woman was just nailing me with these math questions, and my heart was hammering in my chest. And these are simple questions and simple calculations, and I should be able to just do it like that. But I couldn't, because I got all up in my head, and because the energy coming from the other line was total judgment. It was not kindness. It was not softness. It was, you better know your shit or you're not going to get hired. So tell me, what is the biggest piece of business you ever booked? Break it down for me. Room nights, revenue, ADR. What is the equation for RevPAR? Just like firing stuff off at me. And I made it. I gave her the right answer. I did the math correctly, but my heart was hammering in my chest. And I recognized the feeling that I had when I was dealing with the cult leader. It was the same thing, right? It's this anxiety of trying to perform and trying to please someone on the other side who is either on the right or on the left. They're definitely not in balance and walking the middle path. They are judging you, and you are performing, and you will be graded on your performance. So that's not where any of us want to be. It's not a comfortable feeling. And I was actually able to say to her, even though this was an interview, I said, and I don't remember her name, but let's just say, Amanda, you really grilled me. And she kind of giggled. She just giggled. She went, I said, and I think you enjoyed it, because I could tell that she was enjoying me squirming and feeling insecure and scrambling and trying to come up with the answer. I could feel through the phone. I didn't even see her face. I could feel the energy coming from the other side. And I knew she was enjoying, for all intents and purposes, torturing me, right? Like giving me no slack. So when you bump up against that kind of energy, just know that you're probably dealing with someone who is either over here or over here. They are not in the middle. They are not holding the line. They are not balanced. They have pendulum swung into some form of judgment of you or judgment of themselves, which then results in judgment of you. And also insecurity. They feel inferior to you in some way, so they need to knock you down to size, right? They're either jealous, or you're a badass and you strike a chord in them and you have something that they don't have. So they need to squash you, step on you, insult you to make themselves feel leveled up. Man, I don't know where I was going with all that, but I just want to say, do your best to stay in the middle. Don't get caught up in this extreme left or extreme right, politically or religiously, with your church, with anything. There's always a middle line to hold. And that is where, I don't know, I feel like when you don't have that judgment in your heart, that's where God can work with you. You're soft, you're pliable, you're not hardened, you're not bitter, you're not angry, you're not over here looking at the other side, pointing the finger, and getting all caught up in righteousness and being right and not wrong. Yeah, because we need that. We need that today. We need people who can love and who have open hearts. Not just theoretically, right? Like, you can say you have an open heart all you want. You can say you're honest all you want. But I have seen so many people come to me and be like, oh, Jess, I'm so sorry. Look what happened to you. You poor thing. Oh, I love you so much. I'm so sorry for what you went through. But you can't publicly support me because you either don't have the balls, or because you're afraid you're going to lose something, or because you didn't really mean what you said at all. So it's just so interesting how on the back end, everybody will be like, oh my gosh, so sorry for what you went through. But then when I reach out and I need a friend, or I need a space to do a certification, or I need something back in return, you know, months later, because I thought we were friends, crickets. Crickets. Dishonesty. It's huge. Self-deception. It's huge. It's such a... Do I sound like Donald Trump when I say that? Oh my God. All right, that's enough. I gotta cut that off here. I don't want to sound like Trump.